you for taking a moment to watch this video. And hopefully, welcome back to our Hubspot PhoneBurner integration training. If this is the first video you're watching in the Hubspot PhoneBurner training series, I'd recommend that you go back and watch some of the other videos. You really should watch these in series. They are created in a way to build on each other. So you really should be watching them in series. But either way, I'm happy to have you here. Thanks for joining me. On this specific training, we're going to be talking about working in a standalone mode where you're going to be linking individual Hubspot accounts to individual PhoneBurner accounts. If you remember, we have two ways that we can configure PhoneBurner, either standalone or network. Network, everybody sees everything. Standalone, each person owns their own data. They have their own database in PhoneBurner. And so right now I have this specific account set up in a standalone method. So if I wanted to get data into Mary Closer's account, the best way to handle this would be to go to Hubspot, and we're going to go to our integration settings for the PhoneBurner app built by Hubspot. So here's the PhoneBurner app built by Hubspot. I'm going to go to settings, and here you'll see that I currently have my Hubspot account linked up to the PhoneBurner admin. See, here's my PhoneBurner admin account. That's the account that I'm currently syncing data from Hubspot to. But the nice thing about this integration is I can actually create multiple connections from Hubspot to different PhoneBurner accounts. So I can click on Connect Another Account, and that's going to ask me to enter the PhoneBurner username and password of the individual I want to sync. So I would go and grab Mary Closer's username. I'd enter that here, and then enter a password and connect. And apparently I have the wrong password. And then I'd sign in. Now what that's going to do is that's going to authorize Hubspot to communicate with my other PhoneBurner account, my user's PhoneBurner account. So I'm going to go ahead and approve that. And you'll see that I can set up a completely custom set of sync settings between Hubspot and this specific PhoneBurner account. And so now I can configure all of the unique settings for this specific agent, this specific user, to get their specific data over to Hubspot and what they need to see. I can configure custom field mappings just for this specific user. I can also sync over just a specific list. I don't have to sync all contacts. In fact, I would not recommend that you sync all contacts to all individual users. If you're going to sync all contacts, I'd recommend that you just go with a networked account, which we'll talk about more in our next training video. So if you decide that standalone is the right method for you and your organization, then you're going to need to create unique connections between Hubspot and PhoneBurner. But it's important when you're creating these connections between Hubspot and PhoneBurner that you don't sync all data between the two systems. I'd recommend creating a specific list that you would then sync over to Hubspot. Now, obviously, I have just a very basic list here. I just got the sync to PhoneBurner list. So I would create an agent or user-specific list. Maybe go create an active list. Call it user 1. And then any records that are owned by that specific user. Contact owner, right? So you go in and choose who's owning that. So I'm going to do caller 1. So if caller 1 owns the data, then those records would become part of this list. So let's go ahead and save this list. And there can be other criteria that you put in there. I'm keeping things as simple as possible. And let's go back here. So now I have two lists. I have the sync to PhoneBurner. I have my user 1. Let's go back here. refresh this list, user 1, and apply filters. I'm not going to worry about going through all that other configuration. Again, all this stuff builds on it. You should have already gone through the training where we talked about that. And let's go ahead and just enable this sync. So now in HubSpot, anytime I assign a record to user 1, let's go to contacts. And let's just take these two and assign them to user 1 or caller 1. So once I assign those to that caller, and then I can log in as Mary Closer or user 1, and we should see that data start to sync over. There we go. Wade Wilson and Wally West have now synced over to Mary's account. If I log in as Johnny Setter, I don't have anything syncing over for Johnny. And of course, he is not going to see the data that Mary has received in her account. So a couple of things to keep in mind if you go down the path of standalone, where each individual is going to own their own data, and you're going to be linking these accounts, you want to make sure that the filters that you create for these lists don't overlap, because you don't want to have the same contacts necessarily going into multiple PhoneBurner accounts, because that could potentially cause duplicated records across the PhoneBurner system, and PhoneBurner is not going to stop you from duplicating records across multiple PhoneBurner accounts. So, for example, these two records that are now syncing over into Mary's account, they can also exist in Johnny's account, and they can exist in the admin's account. In fact, they probably are in the admin account. So it's important to make sure that you're being very specific and selective about the filters that you're using to create the list, so that you know exactly which records are going to be going in, and each user who's receiving records knows who they're supposed to call. Now, of course, once the records are synced over, they're synced over, and there's other tools that we'll take advantage of later on in the training to help make sure that the right records are in the right folders for the right people to make calls to those contacts. So anyway, that's it for this specific training, where we're talking about how to link different PhoneBurner accounts to HubSpot to make sure that you have the right data in the right accounts for each of your agents. Thanks for taking a moment to watch this video. Bye for now.